I think it's quite astounding when we look back and think that this time last year there were members of the European Parliament coming in screaming and roaring, demanding that the International Criminal Court would be involved to investigate Russian war crimes. The buildings and the streets of Europe were lit up with flags that we stand with Ukraine. It was almost as if there'd never been a war in the world, that what was going on in Ukraine was so horrific they had to condemn it. They all had to drape themselves with this issue. And what could we do, and could we do more? And a year on, and we're in the situation now in Gaza where we have genocide actually openly declared and carried out, where the numbers of civilians slaughtered and murdered in 30 days in Gaza exceeds the civilian death toll in Ukraine, and that is met with silence. This is something which has been noticed by millions of European citizens who are absolutely horrified, some of whom actually believed the propaganda that when Europe stood with Ukraine, they were standing for democracy and for peace and so on. Now they see that that mask has completely dropped, and that has taken a lot away from a lot of people who believed that Europe was better. So I honestly think, I didn't believe that, by the way. I felt that their position on the Ukraine war was to engage in a NATO proxy war for geopolitical interests against Russia. That sadly has been proven to be the case. So, but for many people, this is quite shocking that they have sided with a genocidal, ethnic cleansing apartheid state who proudly carry out massacres of innocent civilians, particularly children. And I honestly don't think that the European Union will recover in the minds of loads of its citizens, but critically, the nations of the world will not be lectured anymore by Europe about rule of law, democracy, human rights and standards. That day is gone now. It's just an awful tragedy that it's come at the cost of the massacres that are still going on in Gaza.